Welcome to the Chofetz Chaim said what? And I would like to thank my family for being here and supporting me. All right, we're gonna start with the Q&A. Hello, Dad. And the question, okay, the title is Rumors Are Spreading. I just met someone at the supermarket who asked me if it's true that I'm moving away because my husband doesn't like the crowd in our shul. She heard all about it from a mutual friend, Esther. We did look into buying a house in another city, but the deal fell through and it had nothing to do with the people in our shul. Question, I really don't want either of these rumors spreading about our family. What can I do about it? That's a pretty big accusation and rumor going about around. So nice. So does anyone have an idea of how they should go about the situation? Clearly, this woman, it doesn't seem this, I mean, not clearly, but it seems that this woman didn't start the rumor, but it could be on.
Well, she could say it's all for personal reason that we're leaving. We love our shul. We just personally, and we're leaving. Like, that's none of anyone else's business why we're leaving.
Well,
right, all, that's a good point.
And first of all, I'm glad at least she came to the woman.
Saying, I like to clarify.
I just want to clarify this because this is what people are saying, you know, right. And I was just, you know.
Right, exactly. So two things. One is to just say it has nothing to do with the community. It's due to personal reasons, but we love our community. It's not like they need to know. It's none of their business, like I said. Yeah, and just like my mom says. And also, I'm blanking on what you just said, which was you.
What I said is that it's at least it's nice that she
came
to her instead of saying, oh, did you hear that? Like talk to
right.
this person, that person, to saying so and so. It's like, you know, they heard it's like, I heard this and I'm coming to you, which is actually one of the best things somebody can do when it comes to Lashon Hara.
Exactly. So that's an amazing point. Is that there could be something going around and then people could just spread it. And we learn a lot learning about Sefer Chofetz Chaim. When there's a constructive purpose, you really have to have heard the information firsthand. A lot of times it's just through hearsay. And we learned that really doesn't hold up, except if, God forbid, someone's life is in danger or their livelihood, chas v'shalom, in which case you could say, I heard it, I don't know, right? So in this case, she could have heard it and say, you know, she could have gone about it and said, you know, wow, I cannot believe that they thought about that, or that thought about our community that way, and just continue to spread it or even believe it, which is totally against everything that we know about Shmiros HaLashon. But instead, she decided to go and say, excuse me, I just heard this, and it could be that she even said, it doesn't seem like you, or I just want to understand. I hope it has nothing to do with us. She could even be concerned. It may not even have to do with her prying or being nosy. It just might have to do with her being concerned. And she went exactly to the source, which is what we should do if we have any concerns. Great point, Mom. So, answer. Many things we hear have no basis in reality. However, you do need to protect your family's reputation. You can try to verify whether or not these rumors are in fact spreading about you. You can even approach Esther directly and without any hostility, ask her if she's saying these things about you, and then tell her what the truth is. So you could say, I don't know who's saying this or who's talking about it. I hope nobody is. I don't know if that's just what you thought about us, and it could even be it's not even a rumor at all. Like she might have just thought about it. She might have just heard that they were moving away, and she goes, "Oh, it's probably because of the community," and made that assumption, which isn't correct. And so going to her and explaining or approaching her and saying, I don't know how you heard this information, but I don't want this information getting out, especially since it is not true. And if Lashon Hara is not true, what is it called?
I'm not speaking Lashon Hara.
Lashon Hara. Matzi Shemra. Good job. Or Hatzah Shemra. I'm so proud of my family. Brings a tear to my eye. Okay, wonderful. So now we're going to get right into it. So it is Elul, and we're all preparing ourselves for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, being judged for the next year. And so I thought that since this whole thing, Rosh Hashanah, being judged, we should learn about judging others, because when we judge other people favorably, then Hashem judges us favorably. So I thought I'd go into things that we have learned already from the Sefer Chofetz Chaim. These are things that we've previously gone through, but I thought I'd focus on those things just for this class. And then next class, hopefully we'll have a class on the 10 utterances for the creation of the world and bring that into Shmiros HaLashon. All right, principle 3. If someone sees somebody else who did something or said something, both ben adam lechavero, between man and his friend, and ben adam l'makam, between man and God, and they are God-fearing, and their words and deeds can be judged in good merit, or if the doubt is balanced, they must be judged for the better in good merit. So if we know someone and they did something that was say unfavorable, but that seems wrong, then we have to look at, if there's someone who usually is a great person and we know that they don't usually do those kinds of things, it might be easy to just say, oh yeah, that's not something that they do, and judge them on the side of merit. But even if you're doubtful, like it might be the type of person like they could possibly be actually doing that bad thing, then we do have to judge them on the side of merit, right? If one judges his friend by the skills of merit, God will judge him by the skills of merit, Vayikra. So that is the reason why we're going through this today. In the scales of righteousness shall you judge your fellow. I mean, that part is from Vayikra, and Chazal say if one judges his friend by the scales of merit, God will judge him by the scales of merit. Clarify. Even if the thing seems more inclined to the scales of guilt. So we're saying, like, you're doubtful and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm really thinking that person is going into McDonald's to get a Big Mac, because they wouldn't go into McDonald's just to go to the bathroom or to get a soda. Then even if it's more on the scales of guilt than the scales of merit, you still have to judge that person favorably. And you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I was even talking to my mom about being down the chaschus, judging someone favorably, giving the benefit of the doubt. That's a really big part of judging people. And Rabbi Wein gave a whole spiel on it on Shabbos. I'd go through it now, but another time. You can comment below. Those YouTubers, comment below if you want to know more about judging people favorably. All right. In principle 4, it says, this then judgment has many qualifications. If the person is a regular, plain man of Israel, if you remember learning about this, who generally guards himself and stumbles into sin occasionally, and it is most likely that he committed the sin unintentionally or did not know that it was a sin, or they thought the ruling for this Jewish law is a chumrah. So we're saying this is a person who's just a regular guy. We're not saying that they're a tzaddik, a great righteous person who we usually don't see sinning, even though we know that people who are more righteous usually have a lot more challenges. It's a lot more difficult for them. We usually don't see them sinning. And we know that if you see someone who's very righteous sinning and it's the next day and you want to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this, we should think by the next day they've already done teshuvah, this righteous person. So we're saying this isn't somebody who is a sinner. Like, this isn't a Russia. This isn't a bad person, and this isn't a great person. So the bad person would know, okay, obviously they're doing something bad, right? This is just a regular guy. We don't know bad, good, whatever. We're obviously, once again, we're not the judges of these things, but it's just a regular guy. And sometimes, God forbid, we stumble into sin, or it's unintentional. I said, even if we thought someone might think that something is a chumrah, I mentioned this a few times before, but we could see somebody who might be carrying on Shabbos when there is know Eruv, right? And they might be very used to being in a community where there's an Eruv and not really know about it. Actually, that's not even a chumrah, that's actual Torah law. But a chumrah would be like, like they may think it's a chumrah based on that. So that is correct. So they may think it's a chumrah. They may think that it's a stringency to not be able to carry, because they say, oh, I see people carrying, but they may live in a community where there's an Eruv, but in reality, they're not allowed to carry. They may not even know that. In a community that does not have an Eruv. Even if someone saw him transgress several times, he should still be given the benefit of the doubt. And I put this in all caps. And he should be judged on the scales of merit. In Vayikra, it says, there's a positive commandment, in the scales of righteousness shall you judge your friend. It is forbidden to expose him because this would cause him shame before his people and even in his own eyes. It is also forbidden to hate him for this. All right. So we can't even say, oh my gosh, I saw them do this. I can't even look at them anymore. Oh my gosh. No, stay in person, judge them favorably, because we don't know. All right, and this is also in Principle 4. That was Principle 4, Section 4. This is Principle 4, Section 7. All the dinim, judgments that have been mentioned only apply to a man who's the type to regret his sins, not a man who has no fear of God, and he persists in a way that is not good. Someone who is not aware of a transgression, which is an obvious transgression, whether the sin that you want to reveal was committed deliberately many times, or he commits a different sin, which everyone knows is a sin, then it is clear that the evil inclination did not overpower him, and you may shame him and speak demeaningly of him before him and in his absence. And if he does something that could be judged on the scales of merit or guilt, he should be judged on the scales of guilt, since he has shown that he is an evildoer, especially if someone reproved him and did not stop the sin. Then you can expose him in public and spill scorn upon him until he returns to good. So this really doesn't apply. We don't really know if someone is a straight up evildoer, right? We mentioned someone who's an apikoros, and they're more of a scorter. They are very knowledgeable about Torah, and they still will sin. And I'm not saying very knowledgeable, like, oh yeah, they learned a couple of years in yeshiva. I'm saying someone who's done years and years and years of learning, and they know everything, and they still decide to, God forbid, just throw it all away because they don't care. And there could be other reasons, but nowadays no one's really considered an apikoros. They're considered a tinik shenishba, which is a child who has been raised by, wait, how do we say that? A child who's been raised? Yeah, they don't know anything. So they're not really, no one really knows an apikoros. So this is not really so relevant, but still, I want to point out this is still discussing judging somebody. And even if we're saying judge them on the scales of guilt, this is when someone really is just an evildoer and they need to be reproved. And God forbid if they don't stop. Because even though someone may not be an apikoros, it may be something that you need to tell the person, hey, I don't think you realize this. If they still don't listen, they may fall out of this category, sort of, but we still should always judge people favorably. So I have a question. What type of person should we judge favorably?
Everybody.
Every type of person. Good job. This is just a regular man of Israel. Like we're all just regular people. I don't think nowadays anyone is considered the greatest of men or the worst of men, because we live in a very different world than, you know, hundreds of years ago. Even though this wasn't, the Sefer Chofetz Chaim wasn't written that long ago, it still has to be in there because, of course, the Chofetz Chaim covered everything, all his bases, everything. So we just need to know what is there. And okay, I think we good. We could do this. All right. This is in Principle 6. So this is Principle 6, sections 7 through 8. And this is actually from an email that I received from the Chofetz Chaim Heritage Foundation. In the course of a day, the average person hears hundreds of pieces of information. As each one is digested, we are left to decide whether or not we choose to accept it as fact. And when it comes to Lashon Hara, many people find themselves inclined to believe what they hear, which we're not allowed to do. It's very difficult, which is why we're trying not to hear the information in the first place. In this segment, the Chofetz Chaim discusses a case where the listener knows firsthand that the facts which the speaker relating are all true. The problem is that the speaker has chosen to interpret the facts in a negative way. Here, the listener is obligated to fulfill the mitzvah of judge your fellow with righteousness, Vayikra, and to interpret these facts in a positive light. If he fails to do so, he has transgressed the mitzvah to judge others favorably, in addition to being guilty of accepted Lashon Hara. So we know that when you say judge your fellow with righteousness, this is straight from the Torah. It's not just saying, you should really judge that person favorably. It's actually saying, judge that person favorably, right? We're not just saying, it'd be really good for, even though it is good for us. That's a really great way for us, to focus on ourselves and to be happy, is to just always know that people have good intentions. But also, Hashem is always showing us how to live a better life, how to do better, and saying, judge others favorably. Do it. Do it. Start now. It's hard, but start now. Reuven is, okay, I hope I finished that. It transgressed the mitzvah. Yeah. Reuven is walking down the street and he meets Shimon emerging from the local Beis Din, rabbinical court. Shimon is terribly agitated. He has just lost a din, a Torah court case involving a monetary dispute with Levi. Shimon waves the psak din, the court ruling, at Reuven. Did you ever hear something so ridiculous in all your life? He shouts. It was obvious that I deserved to win. These dayanim, judges, don't know what they're doing. All the other Beis Din would have seen things my way, right? We're not even supposed to question what the Beis Din rules. Even if we think that it may be unfair, there's always a reason. So that's one point. But also, see, if Reuven agrees with Shimon, he's guilty of not judging favorably and of accepting Lashon Hara. In this case, his sins are compounded by the fact that we are dealing with dayanim, who are accomplished Torah scholars. What Reuven should do is try to convince Shimon that the dayanim have surely done their best to judge favorably and honestly. Furthermore, if in truth Shimon is correct and Levi has cheated him, then he should rest assured that Hashem has infinite methods at his disposal to make up the loss to him. So we're saying, even if it is a fact that it was unfair in terms of this monetary dispute, that let's say Levi did rip him off, and Shimon should have won the case, they're saying that it was all up to Hashem, and Hashem is going to make it up to Shimon. So, right, we're saying that Reuven should not only not believe the information that Shimon is telling him about Levi and the judges, but he actually should convince him that the judges are doing their best and that it's all up to Hashem, right? This is Emunah. And what should Reuven tell himself? If it appears to him that Shimon is right and the judges have erred, he should realize that without having been present at the Din Torah, he cannot possibly know the full story. As such, it should not be too difficult for him to give the dayanim the benefit of the doubt. So he didn't hear the whole court case. He wasn't there. His father would know. We can't just show up at the end of people walking out and people going, oh my gosh. If my father was a judge and say, oh my gosh, can you believe that guy? And the other side's like, yeah, we did it. And the other guy's like, can't believe you ripped me off. I have this proof and this proof and this proof. And I go, well, I know that my father is the most fair judge besides for Hashem. And I know that is for a good reason. Although, Baruch Hashem, I have not heard anybody complain after a court case. Also, you send the ruling in the mail, so that definitely helps. But we should know that also we don't know the full story about everything, and Hashem does take care of us. So when we judge people favorably, and even if we think, oh my gosh, I can't believe that situation, I can't believe this thing happened to this person, life is so unfair for them, it's terrible, this person is a terrible person, God forbid, we just need to know that whatever the situation is, it's all in Hashem's hands, and it's all for the best, and it might not even be what we think it is. So that is my class for today. Next class is words create worlds. Bam. All right. So thank you, my family and all my YouTube peeps for joining me. And I hope to see you all next week. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.